Alright, welcome to another episode of Bobby's World 90. So you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Bobby's World 90, look me up. So we're going to do a video here. We're going to do top 5 defensive or taunt characters in the game as of today in August of 2018. So these are guys that you're going to want to unlock as fast as possible because you want some good taunts in your team. Alright, so let's go ahead and break it down. So we're going to go right into my roster so you can see these characters and all the taunts. They have this protector-like characteristic attached to them. So that's why we have that. These are all of them. I have all the taunts unlocked in the game as of right now. So let's go ahead and break some of these down. So you got Crossbones there, you got Hulk, Thanos, Captain America, Drax, Kingpin, all these guys. They're all taunts that you can use in your team to kind of buff up and take in attacks. So we're going to start off this list with our honorable mentions. So this may come as a shock, but Crossbones is an honorable mention. Because he is a taunt, yes, and he is a high defense player, but you don't want to use taunt on him because taunt's going to draw all the attacks to him, and you don't want that so that you can use that final AoE, which is just massive damage to their whole team. So I don't want him on this list just because this list is specifically for taunts that you can use to distract other characters from, like characters that you have on your team like Quake or Gamora or some of your squishier characters that you're trying to get attention away from them. So we're going to go ahead and just honorable mention. He's a great taunt. He has great health, but you don't want to use him as one of your taunts. He's really a character that has high speed, has high health, but does massive amounts of damage with that AoE. So definitely don't consider him in the top 5 for taunts in this game. So now we're going to get into the number 5 spot, and it's actually a tie. And it's a tie between Hulk. So we'll go ahead and go into Hulk here. So Hulk has 3 attacks, just like most of the characters in the game. His first one is great, does the smash, does a lot of damage, 250. He even gains offense up if he's under 50% health. So I like to pull the taunt towards him right in the beginning with Rage here. And he can clear 3 negative effects on himself if he has a bunch of them. So this is great if you're facing a team that does a lot of big things, and if he's under 50% health, he'll also heal 2,000, which is really great too. And if you get him to the full max, he'll heal for 7,000, which is really good, pretty much full health. And then the leap is this great AoE, well, mini AoE, it only hits 3 characters usually, and it does a massive damage on that as well, so that's pretty good as well. So that's why he's in the top 5, because he does do well with the taunt, and especially if you do it in the beginning, you'll get his health low, and then you'll be able to do more damage with his attacks. He's actually one of the few taunt characters that actually does a lot of damage as well, so that's why he gets into this top 5. And then the next person is Luke Cage. Now, Luke Cage may be a bit of a surprise, but he has some awesome power-ups. So not only does he do some decent damage, like I don't have him ranked up very well, but he does pretty good with the damage. We're talking about over 300 damage if you get him fully unlocked with his first attack. Then you go to his second one, and he gets massive upgrades with just pulling taunts towards him. So he clears negative effects from himself, and he gets regenerate, which gives him more life, and he gets taunt for 2 turns, so that's really good to be able to pull all that in. And then you have this great final attack, which pulls defense up on himself and all allies. So he gives everybody defense up on your team, and then he also gets the death proof to himself as well. So that's pretty good. And then yeah, so he gets that for 2 turns of the defense up as well. So that's really good to be able to buff up the whole team with defense up, then pull the taunt the next turn on himself and be able to take a lot of damage himself and then regenerate to heal back up. So he's a very, very good taunt, somebody that could be on your second or third team. I wouldn't recommend him for your first team, and we'll get into that more as we get into the top tier guys. So next on this list is one of the fan favorites, and it's going to be a bit of surprise that he's not higher in this list, and that's Drax. Drax is somebody who has very low attack, has very high health, and does so much with the taunts. He gets the taunt right away, which is really great, and then he gets this second attack taunt, which gives him taunt, and he gets a counter for 2 turns, and then he gets defense up for 2 turns if you max him out. That's really good. That's something that's very useful, and usually when you're playing against a team that has Drax, he's usually the last person on the field. He's really hard to get rid of, especially when he gets down to that like last final red nodes on his life. He's just so good. When you look at his attack, it's not too bad. It only does about 250 maxed out. And then when you go to his final attack, this is the one that really does a decent amount of damage. He can chain up to the whole team, as you can see with the level 5, and he does 220 and then 180 damage for the rest of the people, and does drain, which is very useful as well. So the plus 30%, so he'll get to 250 and then 200 damage for all the adjacent people. So that's pretty good to do 200 damage to almost their whole team. So that's why Drax comes into third, but I'll get into the reason why he's or 4, now why he's number 4 and not number 3. So now we'll go ahead and go into our number 3 player, and this is going to be a surprise to a lot of people, and I've been tossing and turning between Drax and this character, but Kingpin is a very good taunt. This guy does massive damage in the beginning. I don't even have him all the way undone, but he goes up to 300 damage with that, and then he has a 40% chance to get assist. That's insane. So now another character is going to come in and do more damage too. That's very, very good. Then you got this Crime Lord where he summons 2 more taunts to the field. So now you have 3 taunts on the field. That's amazing. And they can do damage themselves when they attack. So it's kind of like a mixture of Yondu, but instead of Yondu doing a bunch of attacks and clearing buffs, this guy sits there and protects your team. So if you have a team of a lot of squishies, then maybe having just one defensive taunt guy like a Kingpin can really help you out, because he's going to pull out more taunts for you. So now you'll have 3 taunts on your side, including Kingpin, and they'll be able to cover those squishy people for another turn or 2. So that's something very, very good. And then you go to this last one. This last one is the reason that he's the number 3 taunt in the game. He does defense up to all allies, offense up once maxed out to all allies, and he does it for 2 turns for the defense up, and then he gets a 20% chance bonus for allies that are villains and mercenaries to get assists. This is insane. This is absolutely something that you want to unlock as fast as you can. Now, where you can find him is in the villain 6-9. That's where I had to go to get him and unlock him. It was very hard to get there because there's not very good villains in this game, but once you do unlock him, you will not regret it. He is a very, very good character. I'm working him up right now. It just takes forever because he only has really 1 node that you can get him from. And then the Mastermind, that last little ability, and at the beginning of every turn, he has a chance to get an assist as well. So that's pretty good. I definitely think that he is a very good number 3. So now we're getting into the last 2. I toss and turn over these last 2 because both of them are very, very good. And I chose Thanos as the number 2 character, and the biggest reason why is because he's impossible to farm. Right now, the only way you can get him is in the event, the Thanos event, and you have to 100% the highest level, which is next to impossible. There's very, very, very few alliances that can do that. So we'll go into Thanos. His health is super high. We go into his stats right here. 80,000 health. It's insane. His resistance is pretty good at 650. The big thing for him, the speed at 97, which is very good. He gets a lot of turns. He gets a lot of attacks, if you don't know what that means. But his taunts are insane. So we got the first attack, right? 160 with 80% chance to gain counter, right? And then he gains another 40, so we're looking at 200 damage for the first attack. That's not a lot, but that's pretty good. Then we go down to his taunt move. So not only does he do 300 damage on the attack, he also does offense down if he doesn't knock the guy out, and then he also gains taunt for 2 turns. That is absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, that's just an OP thing. And then after you do the taunt for 2 turns, and what's great is once Thanos gets the taunt, it can't come off. There's no one that can debuff his taunt. So if they have, Yondu or they have Hawkeye, they're not getting rid of his taunt. So for 2 turns, he's just getting all the attacks to him, which is really great because this third and final move is absolutely insane. Does 220 damage to the whole team. Then it does 80% drain, which gives him 80% of the life of whatever damage he does. It's insane. Oh my god. I've had it to where Thanos was down to pretty much yellow or red health and went all the way full back to green just because of this move. So you pull that taunt for 2 turns, you have them attack and attack and attack him, he gets down to yellow, and then you use that final finisher, which doesn't even take that much energy or ability powers to use. And then he goes back to full health, and then you do that taunt all over again. So you could really just churn out the taunts with Thanos, and pretty much the whole time they're not going to be able to attack all your other characters because he's just there being a pain in the butt. And then this Titan is obviously really great too. He gains 1,000 extra resistance while taunting, which is really great. And then on death of enemy, he gets 50% chance to gain 2 energy for any other cosmic allies. That's really, really good. So I definitely think that Thanos is that number 2 character. I had a hard time not putting him in the top, but he's definitely that number 2. And then you got Captain America. And the reason I chose Captain America is because he's easier to farm. He's somebody that you can get in the beginning of the game at 6-9 heroes, and then Nexus 5-9 as well. So there's 2 areas to farm him. You can get him maxed out pretty fast, not too crazy, like some of the maxed out characters. His first attack is not the greatest. It will do 220 damage, so it's kind of like Thanos' first attack, but it can chain 2 enemies, which is very good, and he gets defense up for 1 turn on this one too. So that's pretty good. If we go to the second one, this one is the big one because it's pretty much the first move you can use in the game when you start a match. So you're able to gain taunt on Captain America, and you're able to give defense up to yourself and then apply defense up to 2 or 3 allies and gain 1 ability energy to 1 Avenger and grant 1 ability energy to 1 or 2 random allies. So he's just handing out energy to everybody every single 3 turns. And that's great. He's giving defense up to your squishy people. He's giving out energy so they can get to their finishers fast. I've had it where I've gotten Crossbone's finisher in the first attack. That's absolutely insane, getting Crossbone's attack in the first attack. Their team hasn't even prepared themselves and they're already down to yellow on their whole team. So that ability right there just hands down makes him better than everybody else in the game. And then you go to the shield throw, which does massive damage at 280. It clears positive effects as it hits targets, and then it can chain up to a certain amount of characters as well. So that's insane. I mean, just nothing about Captain America is a negative. There's no bad thing that he does. I think his health is maybe the lowest, but if you get to this 4th level, for his health, he can gain 10% max health on the beginning of every turn. And so that's great. I mean, Captain America is hands down the best taunt in this game. Thanos is a very close second. Like I say, he's very hard to get in the game, but if you do get him, he's definitely somebody very good. Hope you guys enjoyed this top 5. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit me up, subscribe if you like. I hope you guys have a good weekend.